Welcome to the Holistic Success Show. I'm Elizabeth Lozano.
And I'm Dr. Robert Puff. Today our guest will be talking about how, as we grow older, we can stay young at heart.
We'll also be watching clips from Dr. Puff about how to live holistically in a world full of tragedies, as well as how everything happens for a reason.
And a question from you about how to keep this mind quiet when it's very busy.
And our second question is about how to keep your kids motivated in school. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show.
How do we live in a world holistically when we have a world in which there is so much tragedy? How do you find balance in that world? Let's start with saying, what do I mean by tragedy? What's happening in the world? You know, if you watch the news, whether today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, or 10 years ago, you're always going to find somewhere in the world there's going to be a drama of something horrible happening, something bad's happening around the world, somewhere, guaranteed. So what do you do with that? How do you live life caring for yourself, caring for those around you, and yet ignore or totally dive into or distract from all the concerns of the world? It's part of being whole. It's not just caring for yourself and caring for your loved ones. It's caring for everyone around you. You know, the whole planet matters. It all matters. You know, we've had guests on here talk about the clothing we wear, you know, our relationships we have, the friends we have, and you know, people at a far distance matter too. So how do we do that? First thing to do is, before you get overwhelmed, because you can get so overwhelmed by all the tragedy in the world, it's saying, I want to make a difference. I want to help people around the world. But you cannot help anyone, or everyone, everyone. You'd like to help anyone, but you can't help everyone. So what you do is you say, I'm going to choose two things that I'm going to really care about. Perhaps you're going to care about hunger in Afghanistan, or perhaps you're going to care about homeless in your local city that you live nearby. But choose a couple things that you are passionate about, and then proactively get involved. And there's really two ways you can get involved. One is to work for the organization, go out in the field and help the people around the world, or wherever your mission is. The other thing you can do is give money. Give your money. So it's time or money. Those are the two main ways that we can proactively be involved in making the world a better place, which I encourage everyone to do. I learned that years ago when I was in graduate school. A professor of mine, he said, you will get overwhelmed if you take on all the challenges of the world. So pick two, and then do something. Make a difference. And your money makes a difference, and your time makes a difference. If you have more money and less time, give more of your money. If you have more time and don't have much money, give a lot of your time. My father, who's still alive as I'm filming this, he has been involved, he was with my mother before she passed, with helping the homeless he's been doing it for years. I mean, over a decade. He lives in Arizona. He just reaches out on a very regular basis, goes out and gives food and clothing and sleeping bags to people in Arizona that are homeless. And he does that on a very regular basis, and he really makes a difference in people's lives. He's seen people living on the street get back into the workplace and caring for people that would be starving if he didn't do what he did. So you really can make a difference, whatever you choose. It can be something environmentally. It doesn't matter so much what it is, but limit yourself to a couple causes. I suggest you can do more, but I suggest two. Do them well, but then the key is to be holistic after you've done your cause. After you've reached out and done what you need to do, written that check or given your time, don't let it keep pestering you in your brain saying, oh, that poor person that's living on the street, or those poor people that are dying in Afghanistan, wherever it is, whatever your cause is. If you think about it over and over and over again, when you can't do anything about it, that will cause you suffering. So the key there is, do something, be proactive. But then when you can't do anything, if right now you can't reach out and help, if right now you can't write a check, then your mind is not to be engaged with it. You be present with whatever is happening now, and don't be engaged with the suffering of the world. So what happens there is you create really proactively doing something because you don't feel paralyzed, because you really can make a difference. But you're not overwhelming yourself, because people that get involved with helping people, sometimes they get so overwhelmed, they get burnt out, they get exhausted, or it's just very, very hard on their spirit and their soul. So the key that I recommend is give to 2. And then when you're not able to give right here, right now, don't be giving of your mental energy. Be present with what is. Don't worry about the people that are starving. Don't be actively thinking about it, because if you do, again, you'll lead to burnout. And people that really effectively help and keep helping day after day, year after year, decade after decade, are ones that take care of themselves and love others. Again, take care of yourself and love others. So when you can give. But when you don't have the time right now because you're doing something else to give to yourself, and ultimately just be. Peace.
Our first question this week comes to us from Richard P. in Atlanta, Georgia. And he writes in, I've been working hard to quiet my mind, but have been getting more stressed because I can't seem to do it. Any suggestions?
Richard, a lot of people struggle with quieting their minds. And I think it's very common for people to say, I don't know what to do. My mind just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And what I have found over the years, that probably the most effective way of quieting your mind, and there are many, but one that I really like, is what I call a guided meditation. And what you do is you have someone who's leading a meditation, and you listen to what they're saying. And as you listen to what they're saying, even though they're talking, they'll talk about relaxation and following your breath and just telling you how to quiet your mind. And even though it's not completely still, their guidance allows you to move into a very relaxed, tranquil place. The first time I ever discovered this, I had a man that I'd been working with for a while, and the longest he'd been able to meditate was for 5 minutes. I mean, he tried and tried and tried, but he just couldn't quiet his mind. So I ended up writing a book with Elizabeth called Meditation for Health and Happiness. And it's in it, the second half of it is a guided meditation, and it's audio recording. And so he listened to that, and he was able to, by listening to that, my guided meditation, was able to he listened to it 2 times in a row. It's about 30 minutes long. So he was able to, went from 5 minutes never being able to meditate or quiet his mind to going a whole hour straight. And my point there is, a lot of times if you can't do it on your own, it's like, let someone help you. Let the guided meditation help you. And then once you get used to it, like once you kind of get used to riding a bike with training wheels, you can finally take them off and ride it on your own. But just to jump on it without training wheels can be a little dangerous or scary when you're riding a bike. And though quieting your mind isn't as, of course, scary, it can be just as difficult. So what a guided meditation does, it helps you ride the quieting by someone helping you along the way. It's like training wheels helping you, and it can be a wonderful way of meditating. I don't want to diminish it at all in any regard. It's a great way to learn to quiet the mind. It's just helping you do that. And what do you think?
You know, I think what you're saying is very true and it's very important, but I think there's another piece to this, is that you need to be gentle with yourself. Don't expect yourself to be able to be like Dr. Puff and sit for an hour and do it just when you're starting out. Because that, you know, sometimes when we have that perfectionistic mentality, we want to do something and do it right the first time. And it's kind of like a marathon in some senses. You wouldn't expect yourself to go run a marathon or a triathlon when you haven't done any running whatsoever. And you can't expect yourself to do that. You need to be easy with yourself and be gentle with yourself, because that's, if you're getting stressed out about it, you're totally defeating the purpose. So little baby steps. If you can only do even a minute, okay, that's different than you did yesterday.